Hey everybody, welcome to today's live stream. Nice to have you here. Hi Usman, hi everybody in the chat. Today we are going to finish off the design that we started 2 weeks ago with these paper wireframes. So just to refresh your memory, if you're new to this particular live stream series, so we started by creating this paper wireframe for the lamp shop, and we did the design in the previous week's live stream. And today we are going to add interaction, we are going to add clicks and taps and auto animate and all of that good stuff, and we are going to include interactions and make it a bit more lively than with just static designs. Hey everybody in the chat once again, and if you want you can get this practice file which we're going to work on today by joining my membership. You can go to alexondesign.co, and there you're going to have the list of all the practice files for this and previous live streams, as well as all the YouTube tutorials, my courses, design products, and so much more. So if you're interested, you can check it out there, and you can go and hi Sohel, you can go and get that. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel. It's Alex on Design on YouTube, Webdonut on Behance, and if you become a member on my website, then you're going to get access to the private Facebook group, and you're going to get the chance to chat with the community, with other students, and make sure to familiarize yourself with everybody there. Also, I know it's not a part of today's live stream, but it is of the previous week's live stream. You can get Inception Design System, inceptiondesignSystem.co. It's biggest design system for Adobe Xd. It took me over six months to create it, and you can check out previous week's live stream if you want to get to know Inception Design System a little bit better. So let's get started with today's live stream. Let me check the chat. Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. I hope you have a great day, and let's get started. So here is the previous week's live stream file, and this is the file where we left off previous week. And today we are going to add a bit more interaction to these files. We're going to create components, we're going to add some component states and overall interactivity. So to get started, I'm not going to animate all of these lamps just yet, but I'm going to prepare my files a little bit better up front. So this first screen doesn't need much preparation because it's already done. In this one, if you remember from the previous week's live stream, I told you that we're going to have this lamp just come in nicely. Then in the second one, we are going to have a lot of different activity, and we're going to work on it second. And also in this third one, we are just going to add this slide in effect from the bottom by using the mask and utilizing all of these different functionalities that Adobe Xd has. So without any further ado, let's get started. So first things first, let's create, I don't know, we can perhaps work on this one. So we have this selector, we have this text right here. So I'm going to quickly group them, and we can call them, for example, selector, like so. And before I create a component, I just want to quickly add different options. So if I jump into my original file, I just need to remind myself. So let's deal with this first. Let's call this prices, like so. And I'm going to put this in a group as well, and these are going to be my prices, like so. And then I'm going to add two different copies. I'm going to, let's say, hide these two at the top because this is going to be 98, so original price. Then on top of it, it's going to be double because we are going to give the option to our users to add 2 or 3 more of these lamps to the cart. So naturally this is going to be double, so 196. So check that, 196, like so. And finally this third one, let's double click on it because that's going to have 3 added to cart, so it's going to be 294, like so. So if I hide this and this, you can see 294. If I hide this, you can see 196 and 98. Basically, you can double and triple the original value of these. So in our default component, we're just going to have 98 because that's going to be our default component and one price. And then for the selector itself, let's go with the numbers. So inside of here, I can group these numbers, so call them numbers. Or even better, I don't have to group them at all because we're going to use the mask. So let's duplicate them, 2, 3, and let's deal with that in just a second. So this is going to be 1, this is going to be 2, I can hide it, and finally this is going to be 3, like so. Let me quickly check the music. Just let me know if the music is too loud, if you can hear me, if everything is good. So now I can show all of them and I can put them in a stack, for example, because that's going to make it a bit easier for me to organize them. So I can position them, for example, like this, something like 10 maybe, and then I can move this third one at the bottom like this, call it 10, then group them, give names like this, and then come right here and include my stack, and it's going to go in this direction. Obviously it's going to be at 10. And finally what I need is a mask, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit and create a nice rectangle, something like this. So I can position it in the center, call this mask, use that text and select mask and numbers, hit Shift Control M, Shift Command M on a Mac, double click, call it mask, and there we go. So basically this is our state for our selector, and you can do this in a number of ways. In this particular example, I just want to use a fade in effect between these prices. So when users add 2 copies, it's going to go to 196. When they add 3 copies, you get the point. So it's just going to fade, but these numbers are going to actually go up and down once actually users tap on these plus and minus buttons. So we have our selector, we have our plus and minus, we have everything. We can call this amount perhaps, but let's go with selector. So I'm going to hit Control K to create a component. And for this component, what I need is basically 2 and 3. So I need 2 more states. So I'm going to click right here, go with 2, like so. For this 2, what I need is for my prices, I'm going to basically show this, hide this, like so. Or you can go with the opacity if you want to. Then I'm going to go in my selector, go in my numbers like this, and basically bump this up to the center like this. So there we go, we have 2. And now from the 2, I can go to the 3, like this. And inside of the 3, basically the same story. So for the prices, show this, hide this, and go down to the numbers and basically bump up my numbers a little bit. So I can put my 3 in the center, roughly around here perhaps. There we go. You can of course be precise, you can drag a guide if you want to, but I'm not going to bother with that for now. So now that we have that, what we can do is prototype it right away. So I'm going to hit my prototype, and inside my selector, make sure you are on the default state. You can see it right here. In my selector, what I want is when I hit my plus, like this, I want to go to auto animate, choose a state 2, ease out and 0.4 seconds, but let's go with ease in out, and we're going to do nothing more here. Then on the state called 2, I'm going to select my minus, click right here, use the same settings and basically go back to default state and select this one and go to my state number 3 or name 3. And in the state 3, because we don't have any other options, of course you can go and add as many of them as you want. I want to simply go back to 2 by clicking right here. There we go. Now that is completed. Let's quickly test it out. Control Enter. Let's go. 2, 3, everything works fine. Perhaps it's a bit faster than I would normally go for, but as you can see, you have this glitch effect, but if you want, you can utilize mask and put it to go to one side or to the other side, however you want. But in my case, I'm happy with it and I'm going to go with it. So default state, I'm going to leave it right here. So next, let's work on this toggle right here, and let's work on this light. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to basically put them together, group them, and let's see, maybe I can call them light switch. Like this, light switch, and I can create a default state. So for my toggle, let's see, what I can do is I can position this, make sure it's 2 all the way around. I can select my on and I can, let's see, paragraph, there we go. And this should also go because we have this circle. Let's fill it in like this. Position it behind, and this will go down in opacity like this. So basically this is going to be our default state, and a light switch light, sorry, is going to be off. So basically 0%. And just remember, in the default state, we have it at 20%. You can see that right here. So if I go down in my default state, that's how it's going to look like. So basically what I want is to put this default all the way down, because as I said in the previous week's live stream, it's going to stay this color, and basically all of the other colors are just going to overlay it. So now we are going to put the light switch just above it, like so, and now I can create a component. Hit Ctrl K, and basically maybe I can call this on, switched on, or whatever you want. And in this, I want to bring my light back to 2, so 20%. Go back to my toggle. Of course, you can create a toggle switch if you want, but for this particular example, I want to keep it as it is, and I want to bring this up, and let's see, lower down my off down, and I want to select my on, choose my main color, there we go, like so, and that's our on and off. So basically what we need to do is go to default state, hit our prototype, and I want to select my entire toggle like this and use it as a trigger. So tap auto animate, let's see if that's going to work. It is, so it's going to send me to on, easy and out, and let's go with something a bit better, so 0.8, so it gives us that a bit slower effect, a bit slower fading in. Then let's go to on, let's select our toggle, click once again and go back to default state, hit 0.8 once again, go back to default state, Control Enter, and let's check it out, see how it works. So I like how that works, but basically a bit better option for this would be if I want to add another copy and of the on text and do basically exactly the same thing, have it be at this golden color and then have the second copy be this light gray color. So basically it's going to fade in exactly the same like this circle inside of the toggle, but I think it's going to do just fine. You can of course take this effect a bit further. You can add additional mask on top of your light. So basically it's going to come from top to bottom and basically reveal your light. But I just wanted to go the other way around with this particular effect because this is how your light turns on. When you hit the switch, it's just on, and when you hit it again, it's just off. So basically that's why I chose it. So they're going to be able to see this and they're going to be able to add to cart. There we go. Now let's work on our colors. So we need the option to choose all of these different colors, and we need the option to update the colors in real time. So let's work on that next. Now that we have done this, what I'm going to do is use these lamp colors, because these are the colors for a lamp. You can see red, green, blue. There we go. And I want to choose these. So choose a color and put them right on top of here and lamp colors. And let's see, I can group them. For example, choose color, colors, whatever, as colors, however you want. There we go. Put it right there, and I want to keep my main button on top because I don't want it to be blocked by any one of these elements, as well as our selector, as well as our content. So I can put the selector below or on top. I can do with it whatever I want, but I would just want to keep things nice and simple and put it there. So basically what I want to do, if you remember from our colors, in each of them we have them like so. So if I zoom in and show you, we have blue and we have selector with lowered down opacity. So if I bring it back, you can see it's just the border color. So if I hide myself just so you can see it a bit better, it's just a border color and it has a fill color, red in this case, but it can be blue, for example. So let's check that blue color. There we go. Like so. And for each of them it's the same story. So if I show you the gold, this is going to be our default state, and green, so basically again the same story. I don't know why this red, because perhaps I was creating this to be first and then going the other way around, but it doesn't really matter because we are not going to show the color anyways. This is just for the selector. So I'm going to bring it back as I said, because our default state is going to be this gold color because everything is in that particular color. So we are going to keep it like that. So let's now continue and create these colors. But before we do, let's check the chat. Hi everybody, nice of you to be here and thank you for watching. So let's get started. As I said, choose colors. Let's hit Ctrl K, and for this particular component, what we need is we need to create component states for all of these colors. So as I said, we are going to keep this color, so this is going to be our default state, and basically add 3 additional component states. So let's get started with the blue. So in any case, this default is going to stay at the background. We are just going to play around with all of these colors. So for the blue, what I want to do is, let's go choose colors. There we go, we are in blue. Colors, I want to select my blue, so just bring that selector back. You can hit 0 on your keyboard, go to the gold, double 0 to hide this one. There we go. And finally, lamp colors, I want to bring my blue to the top, and let me actually go right here to default state. Let's go to the lamp colors. Blue is going to be our first, green is going to be our second, red is going to be our third, because that's the order they are going to appear. So when I switch to blue and go right here, I can simply bring it back like so. So let me show my blue color. Let's see, bring the opacity of all of them, and then simply bring the opacity down to these two. And if I go to my default state once again, open up the lamp colors and make sure they are brought in opacity here, but all of them are lowered down to 0 here. But if I go back to blue, I can simply bring my blue back by hitting 0 on my keyboard. So there we go. We have selected our blue color. This light switch works independently of the colors, and this selector of course works independently from all of them. So now let's work on all of our other states. As I said, we need 2 more. So for this one, what we need is, we are going to call it green, because if you remember, our default state is going to stay this gold. So let me check once again. Okay, so this is going to be green, as I said. So colors, check out the blue, lower down the opacity, go to green, bring up this selector, and finally lamp colors, lower down the blue in opacity, bring the green up in opacity like so. And if you're wondering, I simply selected all of these from Envato elements, and then went into Photoshop to change the colors of these lamps. Simple as that. Red, this is going to be our final state. So lamp colors, I'm going to lower this down, bring my red up. There we go. Colors, I'm going to go to red, bring my selector and lower down my green in opacity. There we go. It's big as it goes. So now what I'm going to do is make these to be our tap points. So let's go to prototype, and what I'm going to do right here is go to my colors. So make sure you are in the default state, make sure to select your blue, tap auto animate. So let's go with 0.6 for example for this one. You can keep the same values if you want to, but I'm not going to bother. So I want to experiment just a little bit and see what works in this particular case. So let's go with red for this one, close all of them, go with the blue. And now when I select this one, it's going to go to the default state like so. This is going to take us to green all the time, keeping the same settings right here once you are doing this. There we go. And now when I switch to green, I can select my blue. So it's going to take us to the blue. This is going to be our default state. Once again, still keeping the same settings. This is going to be red. There we go. And finally select your red. Open up the colors. This is going to be blue. This is going to be our default state, and this is going to be green. There we go. If I switch to default, hit Ctrl Enter to go into preview mode. And now let's test it out. So when I click right here, you can notice the change in the color. This is going to take us to default. This is our green. This is a red, and all the time you can switch the lamp, and then you can start changing all of these colors independently of the lamp itself. Of course, you can also add additional items to your card, and just to see the pricing, let's go here, let's switch this off, and basically with this, it's going to be the end of it. So let's check it out. Yeah, I think that's fine for now. Let me quickly check the chat. I hope everybody is good today. We are running at 22 minutes, so we are good. Now let's go to this screen, and I want to create a quick mask right here. So let me find this one. So this is the third. Go back to the design. We have the circle. So I just want to create a quick mask like so, like this. Call it mask. There we go. Make sure I'm in the borders of my design like this. There we go. And I want to mask all of them. Shift Control M. Of course, nothing is going to change. Like this, and we are going to keep it that way because now I'm going to go and create additional copies of these screens because I want to create some more dynamic transitions using the time trigger. Sadly, time trigger is still not available within components, so we have to duplicate all of these artboards in order for us to achieve that result, but hopefully that's going to come in the future. So first things first, what I'm going to do is basically move these three screens like this to give myself a bit of space because I will need to create additional one right here. So let's do just that. Let's position it right here and call it home C intro like this maybe. And in this, what I want to do is basically move this logo out of the way just to the edge, maybe keep it 2 or 3 pixels in like this perhaps, and lower down the opacity. Then what I need to do is use my lamp, move it all the way out like so. Then what I can do is perhaps move this just a bit up, or no, let's see, maybe we can use this text and move it, for example, 10 or 20 pixels up or whatever like this, and then lower down the opacity. I'm going to lower down the opacity of this button, and then I'm going to move these out of the way as much as possible to around here, so they are just there. And what we're going to do for this particular case is we are going to use the time trigger. So let's start with that. I'm going to switch to prototype, drag it to here, and basically the idea behind this is for this lamp to jump into place and for all of these elements to appear out of nowhere. This is going to be our welcome screen, our home screen. So a transition like this is just going to entice the users to explore a little bit more and just give it a bit more visual interest than if you just slap it onto the page and let them come to this page basically without any interaction. So as I said, instead of tap, we're going to use the time trigger. We are not going to use any delay, auto animate. Let me check. Let's go with ease out. So ease out, and let's go for the duration of 2 seconds. Why I went with ease out, if you remember here, we have the time trigger, that's how we planned it, and for all of them basically we used fade out, so that's basically ease out. So if I show you how it looks like, if I preview it, you can see it in action. So if I go one more time, there we go. So basically just slides into place, and if I do like this, there we go. So you can see all of them are just fading nicely into place. Once again, everything works as it should. Just one thing, so if I switch back to design, I would just move this lamp on top of all of these elements and do the same thing right here. So move it right around here, move the pagination down just a little bit. So now let's check it out. There we go. So now our lamp is coming on top of our new item and not below it. So it's not distracting its effect once it actually goes from 0 to 100% in opacity. So there we go. Let me quickly do a quick save because I'm working with local document before we move on to the next screen. And if you guys have any questions, leave them down in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them. So now let's move these two out of the way, all the way to here, for example. So what I want to do in this case is I want to basically make a dip screen. So once you actually click right here where it says customize yours, it's going to go out of your way. It's going to dip to black. It's going to wait a second and then go to the next screen. I know it sounds a bit complicated, but it's not. Basically, all I want to do is have all of those items prepared and make them go to black. So let me actually duplicate this, Control D. And in this one, what I want to do is use our lamp and basically just move it out of the way as much as possible, all the way to here maybe. Because it's a huge PNG, I didn't want to cut it because of this very reason, because I can animate it and then once it's ready to export, I can cut it later. It's not really a big deal. So what we want for these ones is I can, for example, select all of them and I can move them out like so. So perhaps I can move my content down 1, 2, 3, 4, lower down the opacity, move the button 1, 2, 3, 4, lower down the opacity, pagination 1, 2, 3, 4, lower down the opacity. But I'm going to keep my logo because a logo is just above my image and it's going to stay there because it's going to appear on the next page as well. So there is really no point of us replacing it for that matter. So what I'm going to do next is use this screen like so. And for this one, let's see, all I need to do is basically lower down the opacity of everything. So instead of our logo, so I can go right here and perhaps we can even make it a bit more interesting. Yeah, let's do that. So default, I can move it down, but let's go with lamp colors. So I'm going to move them all the way to here. No, because they're not visible. Let's just deal with default now. So all I need to do is basically select it and move the lamp all the way down to here like this. There we go. So it's still within our artboard. It's not in our pasteboard. You can see it right here, nice and clear. So what we can do with these ones is I can double click right here, move them 40%, 40 pixels or 50 pixels up, move them out of the way, select our icons 1, 2, 3, 4 and lower down the opacity. I can use my text 1, 2, 3, 4, lower down in opacity. These colors, I can perhaps leave them here as they are. And this, let's go with button down. So, let's just move it 20 down, lower down in opacity, and this 20 down, lower down in opacity, because I want this to be the prequel to the next screen. I hope that makes sense, and it's going to hopefully in just a second. So let's quickly move these two. So this is going to be our home dip, because from our home screen, everything is going to dip to this color. This is going to be customization intro. And of course, you can name these however you want. I just like to do it like this. So every screen has its purpose. So from this screen, what we want is once we actually click this customize yours button, it's not going to take us here directly, but instead it's going to take us here. Then time trigger is going to do its business to here. And then with a delay, it's going to come to here. So let's quickly prototype this. So let's select our button. And I'm actually going to move this button up like so. So I'm able to select it and this image is not going to interfere with it. And I'm going to do the same thing here. So main button, because of the auto animate, you have to have your layers in the same direction, in the same organizational pattern. So everything is going to work as it should. So once again, switch to prototype, click right here, and then I can drag it to here. Let's see, I can use tap, auto animate. Let's see, ease out. 1 second like this. Then from here to here, what I can do is I can use the time trigger like this. Let's go with 0 seconds for the delay, auto animate, ease in out. Let's go with ease in out and 0.2 seconds. So it's going to go quite quickly from this dark screen to the next dark screen. Finally, let's deal with this one. And we're going to use the time trigger once again, delay of 0 seconds, or you can have a bit of a delay if you want to, because this lamp is going to pop into place however you want. And easing out and 2 seconds this time, because I want this lamp to come in nicely into place. So if I hit preview once again, you can see how all of it looks like. Let me check it once again so you can see it. There we go. So you can add additional screens to make this pagination work if you want to, but I'm not going to bother at this moment. I'm going to keep it as it is. So I'm going to click customize yours, and it's going to go to here. So let me show you once again. Once I click customize yours, lamp is going to go out of the way, because if you remember in this first screen, this one, we put the lamp out of the way all the way to here. And then in this next screen, we use this lamp and simply moved it down, because once we actually go with the time trigger, it's going to go into place. So once again, once I click, everything is go nicely into place. If you don't like how this text looks like, check that again. There we go. If you don't like how that looks like, there are two options. You can either go with the mask, so they're going to appear from out of the mask if you don't want to reduce the opacity of each and every text, but in that case you're going to have a bunch of different masks, so just make sure to keep things nice and organized. Or if you like how this looks like, then you can go with it. Or the other way to go is to use the overlay for this background color. So what I mean by that is you can basically create a shape like this. So basically create a rectangle, use this same color from the artboard color and simply put it right here on top of all of your other colors. Then you can position that to be 100% opacity. Once it goes to here, you can lower that down in opacity and it's going to give you a much more coherent effect. So basically all of this is exploration. You can do with it whatever you want, but in my case, I'm just going to deal with it like so. Before we move on any further, I want to select this arrow and I want to drag it to here, not to these, because time trigger can just go in one direction. Sadly, it cannot go in other directions. Hopefully that's going to come in the future, but for now it's just going to go in this direction. So instead of auto animate, I'm just going to simply choose transition and go with the dissolve, and for example go with 0.6 or 8 seconds. Let's go with 0.8 for example. So once I hit preview, click right here, it's going to dissolve to this particular screen, and once you actually click customize yours, it's going to go to the entire transition once again. So when I click right here, it's going to take me here. So now that we have all of that in place, let's save once again. Let's quickly check the chat. Everything is okay. So let me actually go to my original design. So what we need right here is we need to create additional screen. So I'm going to actually use my customization and success and combine them into one. What I mean by that is, let's position this, let's duplicate this and bring this back like so. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to choose my default and I'm going to position it out of the way like this. Just make sure to stay within these boundaries of my artboard like this. There we go. And I'm also going to lower it down in opacity like this. Then I'm going to play around with all of these elements, because as you can see, we don't have a logo right here. So now with all of these, I can move them up like this. I can move my logo up all the way up like so. And I can move this like so. I can move my text down. And I can play around with all of these. So let's go with these as we did previously. And our button, we are going to play it like this. And now we need to do another thing. So I want to select the content from this screen. So how can I do that? I can go right here, hit select everything, Control C, paste it in right here, Control V. And all I want to do right here is basically to play around with these settings. So because now I have these two buttons in place, I want to move them down like so. I want to move this down. Oops. Button down, and I want to keep the opacity down. Same story for the text. I want to keep this down to, or let's go with everything. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, let's bring this just to here. And now comes the fun part, because if you remember, we have this mask. The only thing I want to do is basically to go with the lamp image and the mask, bring all of it out of the way like so. And now, so I don't have to go all the way down, I can use my circle, I can select it and position it to go right to here So it's nice and small, but it's going to go just behind our image, somewhere around here perhaps, around with the position obviously. The whole idea behind this is because it's obviously behind our image. As it expands and as it comes to here, it's going to expand but still retain its position behind the lamp itself. So hopefully that's going to make sense in just a second. So now obviously you can see that everything is blank, and I can say, for example, customization. Customization to success. So that's going to be our transition. And obviously for this one, once they actually click add to cart, prototype, I can bring this back to here. Let's see, we can go with a tap. We can go with auto animate because we prepared all of these different elements. Let's go with ease out, like so, and let's go with 1 second, for example. And then for the card transition itself, we can choose time trigger, like so. Duration, let's go with 2 seconds because I wanted to keep it nice and comfortable. So this lamp is going to fly in nicely into place. Ease out, and let's go with ease in out in this case because I wanted to ease into the animation and ease out of the animation, which is going to really help my buttons. So let's quickly preview what we've done so far. Add to cart, midnight carbon, out once again. For some reason, this lamp goes into other direction. Actually, for this one, let's see what we can do here. Maybe we can move this lamp. Let me check. So default, here it is. Yeah, for some reason it went to the second direction, but it actually needs to go in this direction. Right to here. Like this, 0 in opacity. Let's check in now. Cart. Just stays into position. Curious. So let me check that once again. So default, I'm going to come right here. It is default. It probably went outside to here. Yeah. So that's a whole problem. Bring it just to here, for example. Keep it in this R port, and then position it roughly to here, and then lower down the opacity. Let's try that once again. When I click, there we go. Now, basically, the only issue here is this overlapping text. So I like how these buttons fly into place. That's all good. You can see them right here. There we go. Perhaps we can create a separate mask for these buttons as well. Let's see. But no, actually I like how they look like. The only issue I see is with this text. This right here. So midnight goes to here, so I don't really like how that looks like. So perhaps what we can do is go with the content, selector, main button, icons. No, keep the icons. Let's delete them because for some reason it duplicated them and it made more of them. So content, main button, secondary button. So these are these ones. So let's check it. Main button, continue shopping. There we go. Secondary, it's this one. Okay. Content, it's this content. So I'm going to keep it in place. There we go. And for this content, let's quickly select it. So, you know what? Not to not to confuse ourselves any more than we need to, let's do that one more time. So I want to put this on top of this content. So secondary button is our last one right here. So let's go with logo. Let's select everything, Control C. Let's go right here, Control V, and put all of it behind this content right here. So first things first, let's lower down all of that content and then work on this top content first. So once again, circle, I can lower it down here. It doesn't really matter. Position it right here, maybe like this, and simply nudge it up top to here. There we go. Third, and the mask, move them all the way down. Mask is completed. Let's deal with the content because that's this text, 0 in opacity, and I can simply move these two buttons down like so, and lower down in opacity. Then I can bring all of this up like so. Let's deal with the logo. So I'm going to move it all the way out like this. Select these icons, use my default and nudge it, if you remember. So let's select it, default, nudge it to roughly around here, lower down the opacity. And what I can do with these ones is, for example, I can nudge this 20, and this text I'm going to keep it in place. All of this I'm going to keep in place. This, see, choose colors, light switch, selector, there we go. And this main button, I'm going to move it down and lower down the opacity. Let's try it now. So customization. Still doesn't work. Perhaps we have a copy here. Let's check it. Content, main, secondary content. I still don't get it. Why? Because I now removed it. It just showed me that content. So you can see that midnight flying into place. So I still don't get it why that happened, even though I deleted them. So perhaps if I save it, but I don't think it's going to add any other change to it. So let's check it out. So this midnight carbon kind of flies into place and I cannot find it, but otherwise all of it works well. You can see with this lamp flying into position and expanding just this midnight carbon. I still don't know why that text is here, because if I check in my original design which I created previously for this live stream, it's not there. So let me explore that, and I'm going to perhaps it's somewhere around here, stuck maybe somewhere. So that prices content, it's just this one, but it wasn't flying into place, it was just here, so who knows. But basically that's it. So if I select it one more time for the end, and this so that you can see it, and let's go to here one more time, there we go. Oh yeah, last thing which I forgot to do, right here we can select continue shopping, and if I hit prototype, so we can go with the tab and go back to let's see, maybe this screen, so that we can go back to black and then go another way around. So we can go with tab, let's see, maybe 1 second, auto animate, ease in, out. Yeah, let's now try the presentation one more time. There we go, full screen. Let me hide myself so you can see it a little bit better. So now once I hit customize yours, it's going to go out of the way. Everything is going to appear nicely. If I click here, it's going to still take me here, but if I click here, it's going to still contain that animation. There we go. We can hit the light switch on or off. Everything works as it should. We can change these different colors, and you can see that this is going to change the color as well. So if I select this one, there we go. Click, go to number 2, number 3, price increases accordingly. Let's hit add to cart. All of this works well except for this midnight carbon text, which for the life of me I cannot figure out what happened. But if I click continue shopping, this is going to fade into place and this is going to come nicely into place. So there we go, that's our design. we have finished it, except for these two glitches which I still don't know what happened, and I'm going to fix them, and I'm going to update this file a bit later because I want to publish it in my membership. So if you're a member of my membership, you can then get this file and you can play around with it, you can explore it a bit more. But as I said, I'm going to fix this issue, I'm going to find it, because in my original example there was no issue, everything worked as it should. So basically that's it for today's live stream. We are at 47 minutes. Thank you so much, everybody who joined me today for this live stream. Make sure to check out my website alexondesign.co to get this practice file and all other practice files for my YouTube videos, all of my courses, all of my design products, and soon I'm going to also include Inception Design System. And speaking of Inception Design System, you can get it at inceptiondesignsystem.co if you're interested. Make sure to check out all of my previous live streams. Make sure to check those for Inception Design System and for all other animations using Adobe Xd and different transitions and stuff like that. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Alex on Design. Follow me on Behance, on Web Donut. Thank you so much for watching this live stream, and until next one, take care.